plan to finesse at this war. All the characteristics of who the cocoa. Baby, let me know say I'm money cocoa. How you wanna follow me to back on Monday? She na follow your Monday. You look better day. You look better for you. Baby, she.
Good day, everyone. My name is Baba Owusa Oferesafu, and today I'll be presenting the introduction to our group's presentation on the topic, if critical thinking is so critical to development, why do people, even the educated, find it so difficult to think critically? Critical thinking is widely regarded as one of the most important skills for personal, social, and economic development.
Let's dive into the case of critical thinking. The importance of critical thinking can be stated in modern society. In an age characterized by rapid technological change, information overload, and widespread access to social media, individuals are constantly exposed to many claims and viewpoints. Without critical thinking, people may struggle to distinguish reliable information from misinformation, leading to poor personal and societal decisions. Scholars argue that critical thinking is essential for effective citizenship. Democratic societies depend on citizens who evaluate political arguments, assess public policies, and hold leaders accountable. When citizens accept information uncritically, they become vulnerable to manipulation, propaganda, and misinformation campaigns. Critical thinking therefore serves as a safeguard against the abuse of power and promotes informed participation in public life. Critical thinking is equally important in economic development. Employers increasingly seek workers who can analyze problems, adapt to changing circumstances, and generate innovative solutions. Modern workplaces require employees who can interpret information, collaborate effectively, and make evidence-based decisions. Nations that cultivate critical thinking among their citizens are often better positioned to compete in the global knowledge economy.
If education is intended to develop reasoning abilities, why do educated people still fall victim to misinformation and poor decision making? Our group will explore the psychological, social barriers that make critical thinking such a challenge for everyone.
I go by the name Namin Kum Jonathan, and I'm here to talk about cognitive biases. One of the most significant obstacles to critical thinking is the presence of cognitive biases, which are systematic patterns of deviation from rational judgment. Confirmation biases is the tendency to seek and remember information to support existing beliefs whilst ignoring contradictory evidence. Expertise doesn't eliminate the natural desire to protect one's belief, making even highly educated people open it.
My name is Inshata Chiwata. I'll be taking you through the Dunning-Kruger's effect. Another important barrier is the Dunning-Kruger's effect, where individuals with limited knowledge underestimate their abilities because they lack the expertise to recognize their shortcomings. They mistakenly believe they understand the subject better than they actually do. Heuristics or mental shortcuts also contribute to the flawed reasoning by simplifying decision making, often producing inaccurate judgments.
Psychological barriers, such as the Dunning-Kruger effect, demonstrate that human beings do not naturally elevate information objectively. Educational and social environments can further reinforce on critical thinking by emphasizing memorization, authority, and conformity. As a result, even highly educated individuals may struggle to analyze evidence by fairly or challenge deeply held assumptions. The fact that education does not automatically produce critical thinkers highlights the importance of intellectual humility. Knowledge and credentials are valuable, but must be accompanied by a willingness to question beliefs, consider alternative perspectives, and knowledge uncertainty. Critical thinking is not simply the accumulation of information, it is a discipline, practice, or evaluating information responsibly.
Hi, my name is John Andrews, and to add up to what my group members said, emotions play a major role in shaping human thoughts. Fear, anger, and anxiety can distort reasoning by encouraging individuals to prioritize challenges, where individuals use reasoning to justify conclusions they've already reached rather than discovering the truth. So basically, this means that Emotional reasoning happens when strong feelings like anger or fear distort thinking, leading to people choosing emotional comfort over facts and use logic to justify their emotions. Yeah, thank you.
In addition to cognitive limitation, educational and social factors can hinder the development of critical thinking. Many schools emphasize memorization and examination performance rather than inquiry, producing massive knowledge recipients instead of active investigators. For example, a teacher may teach a student how to memorize and repeat the answers during examination. The students may get good grades but may fail to analyze, ask questions, or create new ideas because they were not taught how to think independently. If critical thinking is difficult because of cognitive, educational, and social barriers, the question becomes how societies can encourage its development. Addressing these challenges require reform at both the educational and societal levels. Educational institutions should place greater emphasis on inquiry-based learning rather than focusing primarily on memorization and examination performance. Schools should encourage students to ask questions, evaluate evidence, and engage in reasoning debates. Students should be taught how to identify logical fallacies, recognize cognitive biases, and assess the credibility of sources. These skills are essential for navigating complex information environments. My name is Mariam Conde.
Hi, I'll be talking about authority and culture. My name is Nigel Fodosari. Teacher-centered approaches can also limit critical thinking. In some environments, authority figures and viewers are seen as the primary source of knowledge, and students are discouraged from challenging established viewpoints. Cultural norms may further reinforce this tendency, as defense to elders or experts can discourage questioning assumptions. So even when educated, these engaged classes of authority and cultural influence can make it challenging for some to engage independently.
People often use their intelligence to defend existing beliefs rather than to seek truth. Research in psychology suggests that highly intelligent individuals can be particularly skilled at constructing arguments that justify their preferred conclusions. Instead of reducing bias, intelligence may sometimes enable more sophisticated forms of rationalization. In such cases, education enhances argumentative ability without necessarily improving objectivity. Historical examples illustrate that phenomenon throughout history highly educated individuals have supported discriminatory ideologies.
I'm here to talk about social and digital factors. Social conformity represents another powerful barrier, driven by the desire to fit in. The rise of digital media introduces additional challenges like media creating echo chambers to reduce exposure to diverse representatives, making it easier for misinformation to spread rapidly.
In addition to what my fellow colleagues said, I, Priscilla Owusu, will be talking about the paradox of education. Educated people are vulnerable to social pressures and digital misinformation. The assumption that education produces critical thinkers is problematic. Knowledge is not the same as wisdom, and expertise can sometimes lead to intellectual arrogance, where individuals resist evidence that challenges their views instead of engaging in reflection.
I am Christian Osuchu, and I'm here to present on why people use their intelligence to solve problems rather than thinking critically. Most people often use their intelligence to defend existing beliefs rather than seeking the truth. Developing critical thinking requires continuous practices, self-awareness, and commitment to truth speaking. Intentionally, without cultivation of critical thinking, many educated people will suffer.
To conclude with our discussion, we've seen that a problem facing critical thinking is not just lack of information, it is how our mind processes that information. We are often held back by our own cognitive biases, emotional response, and an educational system that rank memorization over actual understanding. However, the pathway forward is clear. To address this issue, our educational institutions and our wider society need to come together and forget the rigid learning and introduce new ways such as deep inquiry, honest reflection, and evidence-based reasoning. So I'll end here by saying thank you for watching. My name is George Osei Owusu-Boakye.